Hey, what's up, guys? For those of you that have seen my longer video, or maybe are new to this, maybe this is the first time seeing any of my videos, put up a longer video, and Chris was asking about player ratings. Maybe he was curious about how I did mine. So I decided that during this period of time when I'm doing the edits in the roster, post All-Star break, post trade deadline, to take some time out and shoot some videos. So I'm going to show you a bunch of different players here. This video is going to be about Trey Mancini. The reason I picked him was he's a career minor league guy over several seasons. So I had him rated as such, and in the roster I actually had him in AA. But he's rated like a low, or I should say kind of a mid AAA player. And obviously this year, I don't know how many of you keep up with Baltimore, but he's performing well above what you would expect for a guy just coming into his first full season in the bigs. So what I do for each guy when I want to get in depth with the ratings is I'll go ahead and I'll go to ESPN.com. Take a look at his batting average, take a look at his splits. There's certain things you can get from there. Mainly what I'm looking for is contact, power, things of that nature. So I go ahead and I pull him up. I see he's a 302 hitter. But within his splits, he's a 324 hitter versus righties and only a 259 hitter versus lefties. Based on his at-bats, also, he would have more power versus righties, based if you kind of calculate it over the number of at-bats. And this is as of August 2nd, the night of when I'm shooting this video. So here we had him more of kind of a traditional righty hitter that hits better off of lefties. Now, with the 324 average against righties, how I calculate it is if a guy's hitting 300, I'll put him at about an 80. 325, he'd be a 90. And you can kind of go the other way. 275 hitter would be about 70 in terms of contact. That's my scale. That's what I use when I'm kind of putting these things together. So based on the fact that he's hitting 324 versus righties, I want to put him up about 90. But if I have a guy like this where this is really his first year, kind of tend to be more conservative with the scale, so we'll leave him in the mid 80s. Lefties, like I said, he's hitting 259. So based on the scale that I do, he'd be probably around the mid 60s. We'll keep him in the low 60s though for now. Now in terms of power, on a per at-bat basis, a bit more, about 1.5 times more power versus right-handed pitching. So what we do here is, how I kind of do it is I figure, okay, in his case he's got 13 home runs and 216 at-bats versus right-handed pitching. And I kind of try to factor that out over the course of the season. And okay, this guy, if he had 600 AB strictly versus right-handed hitting, how would he do? 39 home runs. Pretty good. What I do is if a guy would be on pace to hit about 20 home runs, I'll put his power about 70. 30 home runs, 80. And 40 home runs or more, put him in the 90s. Now, obviously, like I said, he's kind of new, and I don't like to overdo guys' ratings when they're kind of new or having a huge year that's something that might be beyond their career expectation. So in his case, my formula says I should have him in the high 80s power-wise. I'm going to go ahead and again be conservative and just kind of put him in the low to mid 80s versus right-handed pitching. Versus lefty pitching, 4 home runs and 112-ish at-bats. So if you multiply that out by 5 or 6, you'd come up with a number of about 20, 24 home runs. So power versus lefties, I'd go ahead and put him about in the 70 range. But what I also do is, there's only a few things you can really gain from these splits here. One of those being a calculation I do for plate discipline. And that's something that's hard to do, and discipline isn't always reflected in on-base percentage, but that's just how I calculate it. So overall, he's a 351 on base percentage at 302 average. The spread is 50 there, so 302 batting average, 351 on base percentage. So I put the plate discipline at 50. Like I said, it's not really always a matter of getting walks. Some guys have good eye and don't get walks. Some guys, may not be as disciplined, but that's just the formula I use. So we're going to go ahead and leave him at 50. And I have a guy that's in the majors now. Go ahead and put his durability up to at least 70, 75. So we'll go ahead and put that there. When I take a look at speed, again, that's just another subjective measure. A lot of times you can only look at the number of steals. So in his case, he doesn't really steal much. So I'm just going to go ahead and bump him down to maybe 61. And what I like to do with the tendency and the ability is put it equal to speed. It's just something I do, something I noticed, where if you go ahead and you do that, at least they'll have a tendency to run some. If you have a guy, say he's 60 speed, 70 speed, and the tendency is only 30, he's not going to steal any bases. So we want to have it where at least every now and then he'll try to steal. And like I said, guys, this is just something I've learned over years and years of playing this stuff. So fielding, again, unless you know for sure that a guy's a lot better fielder, a Gold Glove or a strong arm, just go ahead and give him a baseline, 70, 75. If you know a guy has a weaker arm, though, you go ahead and make sure, if you know his range is limited, you can go ahead and move him up or down. But like I said, that's Trey Mancini. He's new on the scene. So what I did was I went ahead, gave him a 4-star. Usually I'm a little bit more stringent on the first-time guy, but went ahead and bumped him up to 4-star. Under my thing, what I'll do a lot of times for a 4-star guy is if he's hitting over 300, or if he's a guy that is a 30 home run hitter, something like that. Pitchers, I have a different kind of standard. I base it on their ERA in their current season. Relievers and starting pitchers, if they have an ERA of 4 or less, go ahead and give them that 4th star. For guys that are really dominating, like Kershaw, and say a guy like Kimbrel, bump them up with that 5th star if they're having an ERA around 250, something like that. So anyway, that's Trey Mancini, guys. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more guys, and hopefully the video is a little shorter for them.